This should be fun. Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast, YouTube video, interview program that features me talking to some of the best and brightest and drunkest in the atheist / secular / awesome community. This is episode number 190, finally. This interview is recorded live on May 3rd, 2019. Thanks to Gail Jordan for being on the show whenever the hell I did a show last. Check out her content, and if there is a conference and she's speaking, you should probably show up. Tonight's weird because I've lost two potential guests and the show had to go on, and I feel lucky to reach out to a guy I first interviewed in the front seat of his car. He's banned from every other atheist conference, so fortunately American Atheist was the odd number. He is an odd duck with amazing beard work and a good taste in beer, which means mine. Let's start the conversation. Welcome back, Podunk Polymath Chris Whatevs.
What up, man?
So you're coming to me live from somebody's backyard, is that correct?
I am coming to you live from suburban Nashville, where they have fancy back porches that are literally tiny. So,
Literally tiny, but there's enough room for you and a beer. I feel like that's spacious.
That's enough room for me, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get this proper send-off. I feel like the last 2 or 3 episodes I've done, my guest has not been drinking, which is very unfortunate. So what do you have?
All right, so I never even seen this beer. I went down to the local fancy beer store. Of course, I have to. It's a Stillwater Artisanal, which I've had a couple of theirs. I'm sure you have too. This is what the can looks like. It's all abstract and black and shit. I don't. Woo! And it's called Critical Thinking, which so many people in this country lack. So it's fortunate for me. I have it, and it's just a regular porter, imperial porter. I mean, stout, and it's just good and creamy. Got a lot of thick body to it. So I mean, a little sweet on the sweet side, roasty.
Well, I think I might like that one. I've had a few of those.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're the ones that do even more Jesus, because there's a brewery and they don't actually have a home. They just brew in other people places, and that's one of them. And they make like 75,000 different beers. But it's good to know that you can get a solid stout because, seasons are changing. So they're kind of going away, but not when you're drinking this sucker, because this is year round, baby. Dragon's Milk, of course, official beer of the show.
Yeah.
And my last one, sadly.
Of those.
But in case, we'll, we might as well, because it is kind of a rambling show. Like I was going to just talk to myself, but I think it's, good to have a two-way conversation. I can discuss how I drove into Nashville and then went to see somebody do a beer trade and made a beer trade in somebody's parking lot. That was fun. But the other beer from Nashville's Southern Grist, they got the nice little Tennessee thing going on. That reflection sucks. Copra Kai. So this is a milk stout, maple, vanilla, and coconut. Strangely, every other beer I seem to be drinking lately has coconut in it. It's quite good. I don't know if it was the best beer I had there, but it was the best one they had that they sold 4-packs for.
So, how's it feel? Mouth feel? What are we getting?
Well, I'm still on the Dragon's Milk, so I'll have to get there. But
oh, you haven't even got there yet. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can just kind of bounce around on my Nashville trip because I kind of want to talk to you about American Atheist, but we'll get there in a little bit. So I came up to Nashville because I happened to be unemployed. Not anymore, but at the time I was. So I was like, okay, the NFL draft is happening in Nashville. It's never been there before. My parents live in Nashville. I can go to as much or as little of the events as I want to and still watch it on TV. So I left my house at like 6:30 in the morning. I got to Nashville at like 10. And then I immediately did two things that only I do. I stopped at a local bottle shop. There's one in Cool Springs I like because they sell those Lagunitas beers that you like. I got a couple of those. And then I drove to East Nashville because that's where the guy I was doing this beer trade with. Because as you remember, we went to a beer bar in Nashville and they had a beer I really liked, a barrel-aged stout from Blackstone, but I was too late. It was like Sunday afternoon. I couldn't get to any stores, so I just asked the guy who lived locally. Beer freaks on Facebook are easy to find, and sometimes they're not libertarians. It's nice. Not often. And he had a vertical of that, which in beer lingo means he had a version of that beer from 2015 to 2018. So he had a few local Atlanta beers he wanted to get. So I bought them and I drove to his driveway because he works nights and he was like taking his kid to the park. So we met in his driveway in East Nashville, which is close to where all the crazy draft crap was happening. And so I drove all the way over there, made the trade with him, got my beer, drove all the way back to my parents' house. And then almost immediately we went back to the exact same spot, East Nashville, to get hot chicken. So that was the beginning of my weekend. I hear, so you're local. What are your thoughts of like Nashville getting the draft? Because you're not really a sport, well, you're a hockey fan, maybe still, but definitely not football. But the whole idea of like having this huge event in your city that probably is inconvenient for most people who live there.
Well, I guess I should do the positive part first, which is only one thing as far as I'm concerned. They say it's like the biggest one ever. The more people have showed up to this one than any other, which, rah, what the fuck do I care? Right? I work downtown, and thankfully
Did you get out of work? Because I heard that happened with
a lot of state employees came in early and left, or if you could work at home, they let them work at home and stuff. But I park in the Sounds Garage, which is not downtown area. It's further up, so I didn't have to worry about the traffic really. But I actually went back downtown Saturday. I went to the Gulch, which is they just took LA and plopped it in the middle of Nashville. It doesn't look anything like the rest of it. Anyway, so no, I don't like any of these big events. I don't like gentrification. I don't like them turning the city into a LA clone. I don't really care about the NFL per se. It's the draft, any big event like that. We don't get anything out of it. The local population doesn't, the regular Joe ain't getting anything out of it. I mean, the tourist people get shit. The hotels, the bars, they get the tourist taxes. What the fuck do we get? Shitty roads and no public transportation.
Yeah, I wondered if it even like people who worked at the restaurants downtown, were the people there, were they actually like good tippers and that kind of stuff? Because, I mean, it's a unique event, and I never want to get into the weeds about the football part of it, but it is odd because it is like, if you're a fan of any team in the National Football League, you can go to this because all teams are making draft picks where they force guys to play for specific teams and sign them, and they have this giant stage. And because it's Nashville, they had a bunch of bands playing and stuff. And I mean, Nashville, even before this, has become a destination thing. That there was a story that happened, like a local news story, about how somebody had scheduled like a bachelorette party because Nashville is now bachelorette party central, and they didn't know that it was the NFL draft, and they were mad. And I was like, why would you be mad? Like, if you're going to do a bachelorette party, aren't you wanting to party with a bunch of dudes? And kind of like the atheist movement, the NFL draft is still mostly guys and white guys. There's a little bit of a more mix than it used to be. So you think that'd be like ideal for a bachelorette party, honestly. And there were still a bunch of like the matching shirts or the matching hats. And I was surprised all those, what are those, motorized little vehicles that people like.
God, I hate those things.
And I'm surprised that people didn't get murdered by one of them because they're just ubiquitous downtown. They have them in Atlanta too. It's just like some company like just somehow decided to do this, and somebody got a lot of money and was like, okay, sure, let's have a bunch of untrained people driving motorized carts around downtown.
Yeah, they actually banned it for a while down in Nashville. And then I guess they paid him off, robbed him enough money to put him back. So, oh yeah, you took care of all the safety issues. How much money are you going to give me? Oh yeah, it's fine. No, totally fine.
But I mean, my parents have season tickets to the Tennessee Titans. And honestly, if I could come to my parents' house and just like watch the game at their house instead of going to the stadium, I think I would do that. And that's why, even though I was down in the NFL draft, they've made it into this 3-day event. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I wasn't even there on Thursday. I was there on Friday because there was an event we went to at the Country Music Hall of Fame. That was crazy. And then on Saturday, I went down for a second because there was a guy I know who works for Sirius and does fantasy football for a living, which is kind of cool. But I didn't really get to talk to him because he was doing a show for 5 fucking hours. I felt so bad for him.
Oh my God.
Because they were doing like these 5-hour shows every day, and they were just like locking them up like in the Nashville, like the hockey stadium. And it was one of those, if you don't know about like the NFL draft, they always have like this table of people commentating on it, but it's like 8 people. So imagine you do a show and then like in an hour you get to say like 2 sentences. That's kind of what it was like. And then I was like, I just can't stay here anymore, so I left. But I did want to say, Nashville, I really, the beer and hot chicken still top notch. A friend of mine recommended a new place called Pepper Fire, and unlike Hattie B's, which I think is the best known place, like the lines weren't as long and the food was almost exactly the same. So the beer selection was a little shy, but that's me. Almost everywhere I go, the beer selection is a little shy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was good. The only bad part is I didn't get to hang out with Chris, man. What was going on with that guy? Hang out in the Gulch instead of me. I see how it is.
Yeah, well, priorities.
It's okay. The key is I came home with almost all of the Black Bell that I bought. Not sure when I'm going to drink that. And a couple of the Lagunitas stouts that probably would not have made it if we had hung out.
I cannot sing that praise enough. You can get a bomber of this stuff for $5. Sometimes I've seen it for $4.50. And this is a good, solid stout, imperial stout.
I mean, it's the only one that's going against the beer trend. I mean, this showed up in this beer vertical because when I first found this beer, it was only in bombers. And a bomber is just like a beer. It's like the size of a bottle of wine. So 750 milliliters, it's like the size of 2 beers. Size of 2 of these 12-ounce beers, basically. And now they sell them in 12-ounce cans, which I think is better. Or, because some breweries want to make more money, they do 4-packs. But if you're going to do a 4-pack, do 16-ounce cans like this. So you get almost the same.
That's what I get.
Exactly. So I did my weekend. I did my one like Titans event. I had a picture taken with the Titans mascot T-Rack. Got to hang out with my parents. And then I get to turn around and go back to Chattanooga this weekend because I have it's been crazy. I mean, you can explain like I've been in this weird, random like unemployed land, and then mother-in-law had heart surgery about a month ago, and so we were up with visiting her 2 weeks ago, and then my parents last weekend, and then my sister-in-law's a baby shower tomorrow. So been a lot of travel, but I've been in Tennessee a lot. But I don't know when the next time I'll be there. But I wanted to talk about your epic road trip. So you and Tucker got into a car
again
with Professor Fuzznuts in the back, I'm sure.
No Professor Fuzz. He ain't spraying my fucking car. Get that shit.
So what was it like? What was it like? You didn't, you mentioned it in Podunk Polymath if you want to hear, your story, but we'll just have you say it here so no one has to listen. But I'll give you more reason for listening in a moment. So what was it like? When did you decide, like, okay, American Atheist, it's probably as close to you as it's going to be for a while. I don't even know where it is next year. It's in like Arizona, right?
Yep.
Usually some Midwest super red state place. But this year is Cincinnati, Ohio, which has a lot of people who are on this show, a lot of good atheists, a lot of questionable, because that's how we are. When did you say, hey, I want to go to this thing?
I was actually contacted by Debbie Goddard, who is, and I'm going to get this wrong, she's like the assistant communications director or something like that for American Atheists. I met her at Skepticon last year, actually. Really cool. And it was very obvious she didn't know anything about the atheist podcasting world because she's the one I'm the one she thought of to contact. You know, and I'm like, me? Do you really understand that I'm like nobody? You contacted the wrong person. But I was like, okay, whatever. Okay, yeah, no, I totally. They were trying to get podcasters there. They were trying to start that trend or whatever. So I said, okay. And if I knew anybody else, tell them or whatever. So I'd Tucker. I was like, well, time for another road trip, Tucker. We haven't been since the last Reason Con. So you know what the fuck. And Bridget Fitch from Holy Crap the Vlogcast was already going anyway. And I told her about it. So she hooked up with us on that. And so those are the three. There's a couple other people. Holy Kool-Aid, I think. I don't remember that guy's name off the top of my head.
Thomas Westbrook, is that him?
I think. And then...
He does like kind of animation type stuff, but...
There's a couple other people I don't remember off the top of my head. One was from, I want to say from Utah. And they were kind of Mormon related. I can't remember. There's a couple other ones. I mean, Sharon from Habeas Humor was there. And she had little, what were they? Little jars. I'm not sure what's going on with the jars. I don't know. She had little jars with the logo on it. And I'm like, why jars? I don't get it. She didn't seem to have a good answer.
That's not good.
So I'm thinking, you know, better not, let's not delve any deeper into that. So, yeah, that's how I got up there. Because I heard about it, and I'm like, how much? No, I'm good. There was no fucking way I was paying that much money to get in. But, I mean, if you're giving it to me for free anyway, and I've been there before, and there's going to be some people I want to meet, I mean, what the fuck, I'm there.
Well, it does seem it's like who you know is how you get invited. Like if I didn't know you, I probably wouldn't have been in the podcaster thing at NanoCon, and then I got kind of grandfathered in to that. So once you're kind of a known entity, you're like, hey, why not? So you got to hang out with the GAM people. Did you do smoke some pot with Noah?
No. He apparently had already done it.
That.
Oh, fuck that. No, I'm doing some later on. But anyway, I didn't want to do it before the show because I didn't want to be, mentally unavailable, let's just say. Because I'll forget everything I said within 30 seconds if I'm high. Anyway, no, I did see Noah, though, and he's going gray. And I don't know. Yeah, it's got that long gray hair.
Our age range, I think. He might be a little bit younger, but I think he's in his 40s.
Yeah, I'm like the old man, I realize. All these people are like in their 30s.
I think you're younger than me, so yeah.
I don't. It can't be by much.
We were born the same year, 74, is that right? Or are you 74?
Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe we were about the same age. Okay. So, yeah.
I don't let my beard grow because it'd be obvious then.
Because you have to go through a little embarrassment first. You have to go through the little stages. People are gonna laugh at you for a minute, until you can get it going, like anything else. But once you get the beard out, ladies just flock to you.
I mean, I will say that used to do like a beach trip every year, and I would not shave during that week. And I used to do that show with Sharona, and I had not shaved for like a week and a half, and she said I looked like a child molester. And then the next day, and maybe 5 minutes after the show, maybe during the show, I live shaved because that was it,
dude.
Because it would take me 6 months to have a beard that looks like week 1 of the hockey season, because those guys just never shave their.
It's discipline.
It's discipline.
And it's not giving a fuck about your appearance. I've never given a fuck about my appearance, so it's easier for me.
Well, that's good to know. So when was the podcaster thing? When did that happen? When did you get there, and when did it happen, or is it just because you're a podcaster they just invited you because you're cool?
Yeah, I don't know about the cool part, but she knew who I was, and I guess I was the she. She didn't see. She said she didn't know anything about the podcast community, which is probably fortunate for me, because. So no, we just had a table set up, like they did at any other conference where they have like nonprofits. Planned Parenthood was there, Foundation Beyond Belief, NARAL I think was there. Of course, American Atheists had their own table. So we had a table. We never actually set anything up. We were just sitting there. We didn't.
I was wondering, like, are you like you want authentic beard hair or?
No, and some people actually did come up and talk to us and ask us what it was about, or shows were about. But Saturday, I was just sitting watching the Predators getting their ass beat. It was so disappointing. I was sitting there watching the game at the table pretty much the whole time. After I went with Natalie Newell and Lyman Smith, I'm sure you know them.
Got Natalie on the show a while back.
Yeah, they're really cool. I'm so glad I got to meet them.
The documentary that she did about
science moms,
science and like vaccines and stuff.
Yeah, science moms. Yeah,
not very popular.
I'm actually in the credits for that.
Look at you. But did you miss the Obergefell? I think that's how you pronounce his name.
I missed the keynote speech, and that was mostly because when me and Tucker got into town, we decided we were going to park downtown and walk up there and see what was up before we went to take. Because we didn't stay in the hotel it was at. We stayed at some a little seedier location for less money. So we parked downtown just to check out, see what was going on, get a kind of a feel for the place before we went and dropped shit off and came back. Well, after I left for, we were there for like half an hour and then came out again. Well, Mr. Watson couldn't remember where he fucking parked his car. I don't know anything about downtown Cincinnati. I forgot to fucking remember where it was. We were wandering around downtown, cold. It was drizzling for about an hour trying to find my fucking car. And turned out we had passed the right place like 3 or 4 times. And
that sounds about right. I mean, I am new to I'm in a new job and there's a parking deck and every day I've had to park in a different place and it's like I don't know where the hell I'm in 2 floors. I'm like, where's my car? That's awesome.
Well, I mean, it's like
homing beacon. I mean, you can do the little thing with your thing.
That's what I should have done.
Take a picture of like the street, which I have done. It's yeah. Oops.
Well, the problem is if it's in the garage, the signal's cut off usually. So even if you mark it, you're not going to get a good location, because it's down. You're not going to get a signal. So that's why pretty much why we missed the Obergefell thing or whatever.
Was it like Friday night? Because
that was Friday night.
Okay,
that was Friday night.
They do that with. There's the local like book festival. It happens, and every year like the big speech is like Friday night, and most people, unless you're a super insider, you're like you don't even know it's there. So, but I guess it's a way to kind of kick off things, and that's a good guess to get. And now that all gay rights will be removed in the next 2 years because we're waiting for an election and not a legitimate process.
Jesus.
I just get like angry and angrier. I don't know like what all podcasts you listen to, but I kind of was shuffling around my podcast and I started downloading Democracy Now! And I was talking to my wife about like, did you know that there was an attempted coup in like Venezuela earlier this week? She's like, no, I knew nothing about that. Yeah, exactly. That's our world right now.
That's my go-to news show podcast.
It's like, yeah, and it's like our super right wing. Anytime American government wants to get involved in a government outside of our country, they're not on the good guys' side. They're always on the corporatist, kill as many small people as possible side. But it doesn't feel like there is really a winner in Venezuela. It's kind of
it's not cut and dry in that. They're both shit. They both suck. So it's like, which sucky one?
I mean, you're like, which side does the military go on? And I saw this on my Twitter feed, and it's really weird to see the conservative kind of flow through, because my like, I'll say civilian Twitter, which is mainly about fantasy football and beer, people are like, I'm glad that we have the rights to have guns, because those people in Venezuela got run over by armored cars. But if I had a gun, a couple of my shots would have bounced off the armored car before I got run over. I'm like, you guys could not stand up to especially our military that we give $70 trillion a year to. Your fucking AR-15, it does really good in a religious service, but not so good against our military. Yeah, no, too soon.
No, how can it be too soon?
Because like 7 happened during the recording of this show.
Exactly.
And we don't care. Like, there was one in Charlotte that just happened like 2-3 days ago.
Yep.
And it's gone.
Yep.
Like the one that happened on like Easter Sunday, it's forgotten. Like the attacks in Sri Lanka are gone. The ones that happened in New Zealand, I mean, a little bit we remember it, but for the most part, it's gone. Yeah, Deborah in the chat room, she'd be good to talk with, because she was in Colombia recently, and the entire like Central America is being affected by what's happening in Venezuela.
What the fuck would you go to Colombia willingly?
Because her son lives there.
Oh, well, that's
old news.
Unless you got cocaine. Unless you get some good cocaine tourism. I don't know if that's a thing. But.
Well, you've had, you've been to a bunch of conferences, as I have. So for American Atheists, because you got to go there for free, I mean, you still had to drive, you still had to stay at a hotel and like buy food and stuff. Were you about like listening to speakers, or did you just kind of want to hang out?
That's all I ever want to do. If I'm being honest, I don't ever give a fuck about the speakers unless it's somebody that I really, really like. And the only thing I even stood, well, we there was a dinner reception thing where Nick Fish, the new American Atheist guy, because after Silverman, let's go with another white guy. But anyway,
white gay guys,
Yeah,
but still, yeah.
Was he gay? I didn't know that. No, I don't care. But anyway, so yeah, we had
if I'm wrong, well, this is live. Too bad.
Who cares? But he's a white guy. So he gave some little speech, which I didn't pay attention to because I was eating, and there was a good tiramisu.
Live beer opening sounds.
Beer. No, it's just it. So if you've never been to like, if you're used to going to more like, not specifically atheist, because this was very atheist, right? So,
well, I was wondering, was it like, because obviously for some reason you were at NanoCon, we don't have to get into that, but I mean, at NanoCon, they had like 12 different speakers at a time. So it was physically impossible to see everyone. I was wondering if like American Atheist was more like they were trying to get people into a few different, just a smaller cross-section of events, or was it like you could see 20 different people at a time and it was really hard to decide whether to do that or just to hang out with people that you only know on the internet and you only get to see like once a year? In a lot of cases, I'm sure that's the case.
Well, they had a main room where like the big speeches were. But then they did the same thing they do every other places. They do these breakout groups or whatever, where they have different people, in classes basically is what they are. And I don't even remember. I looked at him. I'm like, oh, no, thanks. And I just moved on. There was a podcasting one. I know for sure. And there was local. I don't even remember, to be honest with you, because I told you I don't go to these for the stuff like that. But yeah, it's the same form. They had like the main speech. They had like big ones going on in the main theater, but then they had breakout classes in between or whatever. So I mean,
was there a favorite, or maybe even was there like somebody you saw who maybe you hadn't seen before kind of surprised you, or was it more like names that you knew, so you kind of knew what they were going to say? Like,
well, let's see, a couple I knew already. Gail Jordan was there. And I've heard that story a million times, so I got to hear it again. Um, Jude Lane, Noel from Foundation Beyond Belief were there, but I don't. I was there for a little while because I don't. I like Jude, and he's one of the guys I met up with, and I met him at Skepticon, and he practically begged me to go to the next one. So I mean, who am I to turn the guy down? You know.
That's nice.
So I got to hang out with him later, but he was talking. He's really one of these dudes, and I think he used to be a church dude, pastor or something, a youth pastor, and he's got that, you know, where he can persuade people and shit. So he's got that going on, and he grew a beard.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, are you trying to look like me? You trying to take? I mean, it's bad enough you're super attractive anyway. I don't dish an asshole, you know. So he's growing the beard out, grew his hair out a little bit, so he's looking a little hippie-ish. So he was, I got to meet him, the crew from Foundation Beyond Belief, which I'm going to tell you to look out for because they're going to do a little more. I think they're going to get a little more hands-on on stuff. So
I think Foundation Beyond Belief is actually like set in Atlanta. At least it used to be. So I should probably find someone local. It's like the whole pool of people I met in Nashville like kind of dried up. So like, oh, time there. It's really weird that I don't know if you're like this. Because when I was looking for a job, I had to apply for like a ton of jobs every day. But when I'm like looking for a show guest, I just like ask one person and I keep waiting for them to say yes. And that's what happens too often. So I need to start, doing that again. But you've kind of kicked back into gear. So what how are you doing? Like still weekly or whenever the mood strikes?
Well, it just started back up after Debbie contacted me. I was like, you know what? Somebody actually gives a fuck. And I figured I should start doing the show again. If I'm going to show up there and say I'm doing a podcast, I guess I should actually actively be doing one. So, I started doing it. I'm like, I remember this. Okay. Yeah, so I kicked back into gear. I had Bridget on because she was going, and I had her on talking about mental illness, which to me is a big topic and something that's important to me. So, I mean, and I had the ladies from Dintersnap, well, the reunion, the Nadia and the original co-host was on with Amy. So that was fun. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I was supposed to do one last night with Aaron Rabinowitz from Embrace the Void and Philosophers in Space, but my internet went out halfway through. So I had to reschedule to next Tuesday. So, but we were going to talk about ethics, which I'm not sure what that word means. Something about morality, I'm an atheist, so what do I know?
Exactly. Yeah, I've had Aaron and his dad on. Now, tell me, how hard was it? When you do a podcast, you have to be a professional. You have to be like strong. How tough was it for you to continue doing your show when you found out Amy was drinking an IPA? Is that the biggest disappointment in your career in the atheist community?
It was a blow. I'm not gonna lie to you, Zach. It was a blow. I had to really think about it for a while. I had to really search my soul to see if I could continue associate myself with her.
I am amazed by the people who because I have a friend who talked himself into liking IPAs, and he really does. And I think with Amy, it was mainly she was drinking a double IPA, but it was 9%. That was pretty strong. So I was like, okay, it's a strong beer. So okay, I guess no. He's out.
No, I've had to resort to it on occasion. Now I don't get the
IPA. Don't.
Yes, I have. Well, usually it's just a regular pale ale. Rarely do I get IPA. It's usually I cheat and tell myself it's not really an IPA, it's APA. It's an American Pale Ale. That's how it's less hoppy. It's less garbagey.
It's less garbagey.
So I try to justify it to myself in that way. But it's still what do I get? Dale's Pale Ale, Oscar Blues Brewery or whatever. I've been getting that because that's the only thing my fucking Mapco has, man. I mean, I live in the boonies.
I don't know. I feel like you probably live with the, decent distance of a bunch of places, but I've worked my stash back up. I got it nice knocked down, but I think it's back up. That's the problem. I get these like really nice beers, like the stuff I got in Nashville, and I'm like, oh, I should save this for a special occasion, like Tuesday. But now that I actually have a job, it's changed things a little bit. But when you're watching like Game of Thrones and it starts at 9 o'clock, you're like, I have to drink a beer while it's bad.
Ooh, ooh, that's it's last season too. I guess they're really feeling like they have to make every episode count, so they're not fucking around.
Yeah, it's been something else. It's kind of wild to imagine this big cultural thing, and will there be any more shows that like so many people watch? And it's still not that many of a number. Like, how many people watch like the Seinfeld finale? And that's going to be like 1/10, if that, of the people who watch the Game of Thrones. So people are probably going to be stealing their friends like HBO thing to watch it.
That would be me.
Then we'll be. Then we'll be done. We'll have nothing to live for. Only thing is, like Game of Thrones, and this is something that doesn't come up with much. The gods in that show actually do stuff, and they don't always. That's the thing. Is like the god does things, and then the people misinterpret. Shocker! They actually show their power. Like, my God, I'll bring this person back from the dead, and then they do, and you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't seem like it always works the same, or they're not dependable. But I guess that's just what gods do. They're fickle. It's almost like they have human qualities. Huh?
Strange.
I don't know how that works.
I forgot. I didn't do like an out of context because I didn't have anything to go with. And this is actually from your guest on your last episode. You fucking cishet prick. It was awesome.
Was it Amy?
I think so.
It had to be Amy.
It's good to see the reunion, it's tough. And, as a white male, of course, I am being stomped upon all the time, so I can say it. Man, if I were Christian, that'd be perfect.
Oh, yeah. Persecuted.
That doing a podcast can be difficult, and just it's something you add to your schedule. And when you're dealing with anything else in life, it should be the first thing to go, and with a lot of people it is. So it's kind of surprising some people just are able to keep going, with all this.
I know. I mean, and to be fair, I mean, if you listen to the show, I mean, she's going through a lot, and stressful. She's trying to drop things that are stressing, and even if it's a good stress, it's still stress, right? It's still a pressure to do something. Like getting out of a podcast, you may enjoy doing it, but it's still a pressure. It's still a stress on you to do it, right? Something that you wouldn't normally do. And so for your own, self-care is more important to me than anything else. So if you need to take a break or just quit it altogether, man, you do shit. Do it. I'm never going to tell anybody not to do self-care.
Well, what for you is self-care besides beer?
Give me a minute, wait. Netflix and cats.
Netflix and cats. Well, this is something that I thought about earlier today, just like a random topic. Like, how did you become like either a cat person or like a pet person? Because I still don't know how many pets you have. You probably have more pets than you have like beers in your house. So what's the current setup, and how did you become such a pet person?
I don't know. I didn't have a pet until I had one when I was a teenager, but she just showed up. Monique just showed up. Okay, I'm here, as most cats do. They just show up. And she was there a while and she disappeared again. She probably went to die. I don't know. That's what cats usually do. Or animals. If they think they're going to die, they'll go off and hide somewhere, usually. That was my first pet. My mom had a Pom, but I don't count that dog because it really wasn't mine. I really didn't get another cat until I was like 33 or something. I mean, because I was drinking in my 20s and I didn't have time for cats. I guess. I don't know. I was with my parents most of the time. They don't like animals. Or my mom doesn't really like pets. But anyway, yeah, I didn't get another one until I was 33. And then I was living with my friend Eric. And he hated cats, but he got used to it because I made him. Um, and then after that, I moved in with my ex, and we got cats. And next thing I know, there's 4 cats in my house right now. I don't know what happened. When the smoke settled, there's 4 fucking cats in my house. So.
Okay, what's the very quick acquisition story of each one? How did that happen, and how long have you had them all?
Technically, none of them are mine.
Technically, are
yeah,
you
the one
currently living by yourself? Because I know
yeah
that happened recently.
yeah.
As little or as much as you want to about that. It's fine.
Well, it's just
How about the pets?
Just my ex and I were living together, and she moved out. That's all, and we're settling in amicably. As far as her buying the house out for me, and then I'll just move out. So that's all I'm gonna say, really, because I don't want to drag anybody through the mud or whatever. Unlike some people did to me. Anyway, bitter? I'm not bitter.
No.
So anyway, no. Okay, so
he's a stout. It's smooth and roasty.
So yeah, I have 4 cats, and they're technically none of them are mine. Sandy was the first one. I think she was acquired. I don't even remember where she came from. I don't even, because it's supposed to be a rag doll, but I don't think she's a rag doll. Callie was from a shelter. I do remember that. A very inventive name for a calico. She's my favorite. She's the queen mother. Lillian was acquired. Her Lexi's grandmother gave that to her. She likes acquiring kittens but not taking care of them, so I ended up with all of them. And finally, the last edition is Circe, and that one was all mine after a cat. She's basically a joint cat with my girlfriend, and that cat got pregnant, and I took one of her kittens, and so that's where she came from. That cat is all mine, actually. That's the one cat that I consider all mine. Callie, I do consider, and Sandy, I guess. Lillian was never really. Anyway, they're all mine now, well, de facto. But yeah, so I have 4 cats. 2 are younger, which means they're running around like fucking crazy people. The other 2 are middle-aged, which means they're sitting around like fat loafs, like me. So it's interesting dynamic. They're all very good. They get along pretty well, except Sandy's a standalone cat. She likes skittish as fuck. She hides all the time. But the other 3 are always piled up on each other. So that's good. They like grooming themselves. It's almost kind of sickening. So it's like some kind of weird cat orgy, but yeah.
Yeah, they like to clean each other, and it's almost like, oh, I can't reach that spot. But they're just like,
it's a little bit.
They look at us like, you do this thing with the water, and I don't know what that is. I have to lick every inch of my body, and yeah. Sometimes it's tiring, so let somebody else do the job for me. Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. So it's the cats and me and Netflix and beer. And I walk around the house naked. So just let that sink in. Absorb.
Oh boy, talk about how much stray fur is in that house. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I had a question for a local beer friend of mine. If you go into a desert island and you can only bring one beer, what would it be? But for you, I'm going to go, what about a local beer? If you could only have one, what would it be?
A local beer?
Yeah. There's a peanut butter stout. I have somebody in your life who might like that, but
well, that ain't me.
That ain't me yet.
It's too sweet. Local. Shit. God damn. Why are you putting me on the spot? I really like New Heights Navel Gazer. That's a really good, solid stout. I would have said Sue up until about a year ago, but that's kind of, I don't know. I think I limited. These breweries been popping up like fucking measles in an unvaccinated person. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, they've been popping up everywhere, and so this Navel Gazer is expensive as shit, but it's really good, thick, dark stout. Um, but I'm not familiar with that enough.
Well, if I know there's a Monday night's a local brewery and they do the 16-ounce cans. There's one called Dark Matter, and I think they're actually distributing locally. That's one of the beers I brought to Nashville. So keep an eye out, see if that's one of those ones you like. I should get
Dark
you
Matter.
at Putin's Promise because a local brewery in Georgia called a Russian stout Putin's Promise. Perfect name.
Yeah, I like the name.
Oh, that's right. I brought you some of that. I don't know if you liked it or
I
not.
drank it.
I drank it.
It was okay.
I drank it for you doesn't necessarily mean that you liked it, but it's like
No, I mean, remember, I have discriminating tastes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good, but it wasn't the best. I'll say that.
So how does the old Rasputin compare to that?
Well, old Raspy is like the Godfather to me.
And it's pretty. I mean, it's like $9.50, $10 for a 4-pack. So
It's not bad. Yeah.
compared to other stuff, it's fairly cheap. Let's see. So I've had you on the show 3 or 4 times. Are there any secret talents or skills that you have that people might not know about, other than acquiring cats?
Acquiring cats, alienating people, apparently. Growing a luxurious beard.
Wow, Jeannie says Rasputin is too sweet. I've had it.
Nobody asked your ass, Jeannie. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. Always just talking out of turn. Damn women. Anyway, so
I forgot about our drunken out of sync karaoke on your anniversary show. It was one of the your show. That show was the one that I was so drunk I had to leave. So.
Is that the reason? Okay.
It was like year 1, and it was like hour 3, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, it was lasting longer than but that was really fun. I really enjoyed that one. I was really honored, I guess is the word, to have so many people who actually came on. To be honest, I don't get too mushy, but I was really happy about that. But now they've all left me. Well, not all of them. Actually, all the ones that are in that show are still around, I think.
See? You chose wisely.
Mostly.
Well, we've passed 45 minutes. This has been a nice way to spend a Friday night. So where can people find your show and find you online if they haven't already shunned you?
For those who haven't shunned me already, although some have been trying to sneak back in, I see you. The podunkpolymath.com, of course. On Twitter at podunkpolymath. Of course, the Facebook page / guess what? See if you can guess. The Podunk Polymath. A Patreon. I have a group nobody ever goes to anymore. The Podunk Polymath Podcast Posse. All separated by periods. What's the 615-376 Popo? 7676. Nobody call the fucking number. Jeannie, call the drunken number again. Deborah, one of y'all, I know y'all hear me. Call the fucking number.
Drunk dial him. He's wanting it.
Again. She's done it a couple of times already. So hit me up. Message me if you want.
And are you going to Skepticon? Do you even know when that is? It's like later this year, and I think
August 9th. It's in St. Louis this year, which makes it even better because Springfield was another fucking 2 hours. St. Louis is not far at all from me. So, it's free.
Nashville. So yeah,
it's further for you. I guess it's another 4 hours. Isn't it? So, yeah. I'll probably be there, almost certainly. I gotta find a room.
Now in the mirror, you can see my face in the background when you're talking. It's awesome. I have the devil on your shoulder, literally. I'm wearing a red shirt and everything. Oh shit!
Yeah, so I should be there. Assuming I'm not banned from that one before then. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, it's still early in the summer. Who knows
Yeah,
what might happen?
we got another couple months, 3 months. So yeah,
there was that event at American Atheist where they were making meals for the homeless, or were you burying bodies? Tell me the truth.
I didn't make it. I heard rumors because I didn't get to make it.
Yeah.
But let's just say there were lady fingers, and I'm not talking about the little cakes. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think it's good to call it a night. So, well, thanks for Chris for being on, especially on short notice. It's good to chat with you. And the next time I get to Nashville, I mean, beer, not chicken. I feel like we can make this work. Beer, hot chicken. Maybe I get to meet the cats finally. You know.
You don't want to come in that house. Trust me on that. But we'll see.
All right.
Maybe. All right, man.
Good night.
Cheers.